Ticket to Ride is certainly one of the games of our generation. One of those games that, together with Pandemic, Carcassonne, and Settlers, has contributed to the renaissance of board gaming that we are experiencing these days. And of course, it has done that thanks to a very elegant game engine, but also entryway rules, that is, simple rules that do not threaten a casual gamer or somebody who does not play games regularly, and so this way these games have invited new people to enter the hobby. Ticket to Ride is a game that's so important, and I would like to introduce to my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, I met at some point, but I thought, I don't know, probably it's a little too early still, because the game is a little abstract, it's a little dry, not for adults, but for kids. Kids need a strong theme and colorful art, or if the game is a little abstract, then it needs to have short playtime. And so Ticket to Ride just so happens to be a little too long, and I think a little too abstract to hold the attention of a 6-year-old for long. But then, a couple of days ago, I was at Target. I saw this game on the shelf, Ticket to Ride First Journey, and I also saw that they had this sort of special deal, buy 2 games and get a third one for free. And so in pretty much like 5 seconds, I went from not intending to buy any game to walking out of the store with 3 games. The other 2, in case you're curious, are Evolution: The Beginning and the new edition of Rubber Rally. But also one of the games was Ticket to Ride First Journey, with which I hoped to introduce my daughter Amelia to the world of Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride First Journey is Ticket to Ride for kids, and this is not just a label that I'm attaching, it's pretty much the essence of my conclusions. This is Ticket to Ride for kids, no more, no less. Which may seem obvious from the cover. The cover promises that the game would be precisely that. But on the other hand, I'm sure that you also have seen many games that were misleading, that look like one way and were something else. Nope, this one is what it looks like. Ticket to Ride for kids, no more, no less. So in case you're busy and you just wanted a very quick capsule review, then you need pretty much what I'm going to say in the conclusions. But if you want to have a closer look at the game, then stick around, and we're gonna do so. We're gonna see what's in the box, and we're gonna talk about gameplay. The rules are even simpler and shorter than regular Ticket to Ride. Yeah, these are not the quick rules, the starter rules. These are the rules. I play games in which the starter rules are like 20 times longer than the full rules of Ticket to Ride First Journey. The game is pretty much the one that you know. You collect cards, you form sets to claim connections on the board, you're trying to complete tickets. One of the differences here is that you always have 2 tickets in your hand, and when you complete one, you get a new one. You do not have that mechanic of having to get tickets and having to figure out how many you want to have, how many tickets you want to commit to have, with the risk of the tickets counting against you at the end of the game. You do not have that push your luck element. In that sense, the game is more basic, cleaner, also less interesting for adults, but easier to grasp for kids, which is, again, what the point is. The board is simplified, fewer connections, also large icons, so that the kids can identify the various cities, even if they struggle to read the names of the cities. And the board looks nice. Again, it's a nice mounted board, simple, clean, attractive, colorful, very easy to read, very functional, so I have no complaints whatsoever. I like, again, the symbols. Of course, my daughter never thought about, oh, I'm gonna go from Dallas to Duluth, but rather than I'm gonna go from the hat to that thing that looks like a bridge but is not quite a bridge, which is fine. Later, we'll use this also as sort of like a basic tool to teach geography or something. The trains are these attractive, large plastic trains here. Then you have your cards that are used to create the connections. Again, several colors, also match with symbols, very good for the colorblind, wild cards. And then you have the tickets themselves that look like this. Again, they have the name and the symbol, making it easy for children to see and to identify the locations. Also, they kind of like suggest where to go. And then you have a golden ticket that you give to the winner. So the winner at the end, I don't know, can take a selfie with with the ticket in his or her hand. And yeah, you play this with 6-year-old, and 6-year-old these days do take selfies, so that's the kind of world we live in. And then you had the coast-to-coast bonus card that you give to a player when a player manages to connect a location from the on the East Coast with a location on the West Coast. And this is the game, really. This is how it works. I don't know that I need to set it up and show you how it works. Again, it's Ticket to Ride. During your turn, you can draw 2 cards or play cards from your hand to claim a connection. To claim a connection, you discard the number and color of cards corresponding to the spaces in the connection that you want to claim, and then you place strings in all those spaces to fill up that connection. If I want to take that connection, then I play these 2 cards and I place my trains there. Now, I just so happen I'm placing green trains on a green connection, but that's incidental because you don't need to do so. You don't need to match the colors of your trains with the colors of the connection. And so you place trains until you're able to demonstrate that you have a connection that connects the cities on one of your 2 tickets. In that, at that point, you put the ticket, you score the ticket, you put it face up in front of you. It counts as a ticket that you completed. Again, if you get the coast-to-coast bonus card, it counts as another completed ticket. The first player to complete 6 tickets is the winner of the game. Or if the game continues until a player has no trains left, then the game is over. And at that point, the player with the most connections is the winner of the game. Sorry, the player with the most cards, completed cards, is the winner of the game. And it is possible to have ties, which I really like. First, I don't think I think it would be an extra and unwelcome layer of complexity to have tiebreakers, expecting children to think about the winning condition, and also the secondary thing in case we tie. And I like the feeling that sometimes, half of the players win, which is neat. So I like it. I like that for what it is. Ticket to Ride, first journey, really. Oh, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Ticket to Ride for children. It really captures the essence of the original Ticket to Ride, no doubt. It gives you that flavor there. So when I was playing the game, I was under the impression, I was feeling that I was playing Ticket to Ride in a simplified version. Not, sometimes when you have the children version, is completely different from the original game. For example, Carcassonne, my first Carcassonne is different enough from the original Carcassonne that it feels to me like pretty much only the art and the name are there. The flavor, the feel is completely different. Not so Ticket to Ride. Much more the original design made it into the children version, which is good because now I know that if my daughter likes this game, and I know that in time she will like Ticket to Ride. She also likes my first Carcassonne, and I have no idea whether or not she likes Carcassonne because the connection is simply not there. Ticket to Ride is fun. It's more of a thinking game than you would expect if you're 6. Again, thinking about the sets, seeing the connections, seeing the most economic way of figuring out how to go from place A to place B. Those are all interesting challenges that I have fun seeing my daughter thinking about and working through all these problems and trying to figure out the most efficient way of winning the game. Also the idea of trying to see what the opponent is going and what connections the opponents maybe try to take. These are also things that they come in at the second time, but again they're not past the mind, the cognitive ability of a young child. So I was able to play Ticket to Ride with my daughter, and we had fun playing it. We played with some friends, so we played with 4 players, and the game tended to be a little slow. I don't know if it was just the number of players or simply the alchemy of the group that time. Then we played it with fewer players, with 2 and with 3, and I found that with those numbers it works even better. And well, it's a good game. It's a good game for children. I do not recommend it to adults, playing with other adults, not even casual players, not even light gamers, play with your spouse type of thing. This really is, to me, a children game. If you want to play a lighter version of Ticket to Ride that still feels like Ticket to Ride, probably you can look at some of the expansions, some of the international maps for a simple one. There probably are some Ticket to Ride Express games out there. People make the Express version version of other games, but the original Ticket to Ride is not that hard or that long. I mean, probably you don't need a simple version of Ticket to Ride if you're playing with adults. But if you're playing with children, then here you have a game that is colorful. It looks really great. It's colorful, high quality to the components. These little things, the kids really like to manipulate them, to move them around, to place them. There's a certain tactile joy in playing with these nice components. And if your kids, like so many kids these days, are at risk of becoming addicted to video games, then of course the fact that there is this tactile element here, something that is bright and colorful, and you can play in person without turning on a machine, you can play it unplugged, then of course Ticket to Ride is a game that has all of these qualities, a great alternative to video games for your kids, and definitely also a great gateway to games that you will play with them in a couple of years and will be more complicated and deeper. For what it is, Ticket to Ride First Journey does what I believe it set out to do, which is to give a version of Ticket to Ride that was playable with children. Ticket to Ride is a gateway game for adults. Ticket to Ride First Journey is a gateway game into hobby games and into Ticket to Ride, of course, for children. And in this very specific regard, I think it's a successful game. I think it's also a very specialized game because I do not see the game having many other uses or getting played in other contexts other than you are a gamer, you are a regular player of games, and you want to play Ticket to Ride with your kids. Again, it's a very specialized aim. This is the one thing that the game does, but that one thing I have to say, it does well.